I'm so excited about today's guest. It's really just a hang sesh. That's what it is. It's with me and my girl, Kat McPhee Foster. I made my Broadway debut with her in the amazing musical written by Sarah Bareilles, Waitress. And Kat and we've been friends just ever since. She just became a mom like 2 seconds ago. And by 2 seconds ago, I mean like a few months by the time of this podcast airing. And I was like, we gotta have Kat open season 4. I hadn't talked to her yet, and I just wanted to hear all about her birth story and her pregnancy and the whole situation in the realest, dealest form. So here she is, Kat McPhee Foster. You know Kat as an actress, singer, songwriter, and philanthropist. You may also know her from the 5th season of American Idol. She has like a huge acting list. CBS drama Scorpion, the musical drama Smash, which is me and Adam's favorite. She's been on everything. CSI in New York, guys. Hello. Family Guy, The House Bunny. She stars on the new Netflix comedy series Country Comfort. She sings and acts on it, so be sure to check that out. And she is married to the now 16 Grammy Award winner producer David Foster. And, of course, they just introduced their son, Rennie, into the world in February. Kat, welcome to Katie's Crib. How you handheld walked me through my Broadway debut. I have never been so scared in my entire life. You were the Jenna to, wait, oh my God, mom brain. What the heck was my character's name again?
Dawn.
Oh, yeah, Dawn. I might have just tuned it all out because I was so scared. But you're a mom now.
I'm a mom now. We're both moms. Well, you were already a mom when I met you, but now you're a 2-time mom.
I have to say, did you always know you wanted to be a mom? Because this is so interesting, but I actually don't have a lot of friends that I would describe as maternal, and you are one of them. Like,
thank you.
Like you were always such a caretaker.
Aw.
And you're so good at empathy and all of these things that supposedly make a good mom. So have you always wanted to be a mom?
Yeah, I have. I've always wanted to be a mom. I got married really young, but that didn't work out. And then I hit my 30s and I was just like doing that single thing. And every year that would go by, I would think, I didn't find somebody, this guy's not right, that guy's not right. And I would get sad because I was just like, oh my God, I'm such a like natural, I'm really comfortable around babies. And I just couldn't believe that I was the girl that grew up wanting to have kids, even fantasizing about my babies from when I was a kid, which
Right.
is, some girls are like that. Some girls are not. My sister was completely not like that.
Absolutely. That's why I was always like so like I felt that vibe from you. Like I was
Yeah.
like, wow, I'm so lucky that she's like caretaking me when I'm losing my mind.
You were so awesome. And yeah, just I guess from when I was little, I always just felt natural around babies. I always wanted to be my mom would sing at this church every Sunday. It was like not a religious experience. It was like she was paid as a singer to sing. And I would go with her and I would want to be in the nursery because I wanted to be around the baby. So
Wow.
I finally got my baby.
Wait, you always wanted to be a mom. You end up not finding the person you wanted to make that decision with. Did you ever decide like, oh, I should freeze my eggs or anything like that? Or you were like, it came in the nick of time, the man of your dreams lining up?
You asked that because my doctor, who I love, when I was 28, I was going through divorce. It was really tumultuous experience. It was like it was some of my lows in my adult life. And I was like literally in the stirrups doing a checkup and, crying to her about like, my shitty circumstances and shitty choices that I made. And it was just straight of a movie. This sounds like I'm picturing her in a bad way, but it's just more of a classic moment where I'm like, my legs are in a stirrup.
Yep.
Got tears coming down my eyes. And
Yep.
she's like, well, you might want to consider freezing your eggs. And I was like, what? Like, what? No. And I was very, very against that. Like, I wasn't open to the idea at all. For me, it was upsetting the reality of that,
Yeah.
But as I got older, I understood why so many women use it as an insurance, right? Like it gives us the power to have time and have a career if we want to, and to wait for that special person. So I changed my view on it obviously a lot later, but at 28,
yes.
I was mortified. I was like, I'm 20. I felt like,
how the fuck are we already having this conversation?
Yeah,
you
exactly.
were like, I'm like a baby. Like, absolutely not.
yeah.
Okay, so you do find true love. You finally have your baby. Do you feel like you're good at parenthood? I mean, from here, it definitely seems like you are.
Thanks. yeah, I think the answer is yes, but I also want to be careful not to sound like, oh, I know it all. And because the reality is I've learned so much and there's things that I didn't expect. But for the most part, it's been a total dream. I've been really lucky. The pregnancy was not as romantic. That's the one thing that I fantasize as well about as a young girl, like, and a teenager and a young adult. Like, I can't wait to be pregnant. I'm going to feel so beautiful. And I didn't really feel that way throughout most of it. But I will say from the last month of pregnancy, I felt so good. I felt strong and energized. And then to going into the doctor's office and realizing that she needed to induce me. I was like 4 days past my due date, but she needed to induce me because my fluid level got really low and dangerously low, and meconium was in the fluid and all that stuff. But to that being induced, to laboring down as long as I wanted to, getting to experience the pain and we have so many things in common.
I know, we have the same doula, Rebecca Beninati, who's been on Katie's Crib twice.
She's the best. She was my sister's doula.
Best. So the pregnancy wasn't all unicorns, daisies, frolicking. Was there any hiccups or anything out of the ordinary, or was it like a pretty...
No, it was pretty like...
Run-of-the-mill
pregnancy. It was, I'm trying to think, I got that like, what's that thing that only 14% of pregnant women get?
Is it streppe?
Streppe.
Oh, yeah. And Pete, we should talk about that. We've not talked about that a lot on this pod. Well, actually, I don't think we've ever talked about it on this podcast.
Well, there's not really that much to talk about. But I remember when my doctor said, hey, just so you know, like your cultures came back and we're going to you have the strep B, whatever. And I was like, what? So I thought it sounded so horrible. And she's like, it's literally not a big deal. I was thinking it would interrupt like having a natural childbirth or whatever. Yeah. And they literally just give you antibiotics before you give birth to your baby.
Yeah, it's basically like and I know this because I had another friend who also had it, but when you get towards the very end, they do a little cotton swab around your butt and your vagina that you don't even feel, and you're so swollen you don't even know what the fuck's going on.
I actually got mine really early on, so I knew really early. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, I got mine in like the first trimester. So
you learn something new every day. I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah, it's like something you're carrying. It's like some bacteria that it's not harmful to you at all. And like, it doesn't necessarily mean you'll have it for your next pregnancies, but like you could pass it to your baby and it could be harmful to your baby basically. But like they really just pump you with antibiotics before you give birth and it's fine.
And it's basically only if the baby gets stuck in the canal for an endless amount of time, they don't want the bacteria that you wouldn't have even known about.
It's literally a precautionary.
Yeah, it's a precautionary thing. So when in the hep lock, when you're hooked up to everything, they put an antibiotic in there and you don't even know.
Right.
Like it makes no difference.
Literally didn't even know. So, I mean, that's the only slightly unusual thing but yeah, everything. I mean, I felt super tired, super nauseous. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me your labor.
Oh.
How'd it go?
Well, I mean, honestly, I was so blessed from like the last month of pregnancy. I was kind of already in labor because I was already 2 centimeters and I was having a lot of cramping those last few weeks leading up to it. So as soon as she broke my water, it was like I was in full blown labor. They gave me like a tiny bit of Pitocin. And I was, Rebecca got there, and my husband got there because I was just went for a doctor's appointment for like my checkup, right? Because I was 4 or 5 days late. And I said, oh, can I go home and get like my hair was okay, right? I have like, my hair, everyone wants their hair blown out, whatever. But I had no makeup on and I had my hospital bag in the car. But what I didn't have was my makeup bag, right? Like as if I thought that I was going to be able to like at least have like a fresh face, those pictures of those like pretty girls.
Of course. Mine are horrible, but yes.
I think those are pictures of girls who had no judgment, but girls who had a C-section, who literally didn't have to like sweat and scream and push the entire time.
Right. Yeah. One of my best friends had a scheduled C-section and we were like talking endlessly about like, okay, let's just do with like one layer of mascara and like a nice, like,
clean
let's do like
skin.
a tinted foundation and a little bit of a lip. It looks like you're not wearing makeup, but like you are.
You're not wearing makeup. Yeah. You don't want to look too perfect.
Yes.
But I literally thought that I could, get my doctor just leave me and she's like, no, I'm not going to let you go home. I need to wheel you to the hospital now. And I was like, okay, that's fine.
Did you cry? No, you were fine.
I was excited. I was like, okay, let's do this. And then I got into some serious contractions and I was literally shitting my brains out on the toilet, but at least it wasn't on the table. I mean, I was really intense.
I labored on the toilet too. I remember laboring with Albie on the toilet, gripping onto the handicap rail as if my fucking life depended on it. It was awful.
I probably labored on there for like a good hour by myself. Like, and Rebecca would knock on the door and I'm like, I'm good. Don't come in. I don't want him to come in here. And then, I mean, it was incredible. It got really intense. It was just exactly what I wanted. I wanted to labor and I wanted to like really feel, not that I was like going to throw my badge of honor around to other people, because it really doesn't matter as long as you have a safe, healthy baby. But it is important for each individual person to hopefully try and get their dream scenario. And mine was to like really labor as long as I could. I didn't want to have any complications. And that's exactly what happened. Like after one contraction was really intense, my husband and Rebecca, they said, you can go again. I think you can go another half hour. And I was like, okay. I had never felt something so wild before in my whole body. It was really intense. Like the way I explain it is when you know those kind of like hurricane sirens go off, although we don't live in like the Midwest or Florida, like, yeah. To me, that's what I had in my mind. Like,
of course, to you, it felt like a sound because you're a musical genius and you know music more than anything. Of course, you would equate something physical to like
it's true.
An entire hurricane siren going off.
It starts off like low and slow, and then it ramps up.
And then it's bizarre. You just think you're not going to make it, and then it starts to taper off, and then it's like fine for 1 minute, and then you start to feel it ramp up again.
The most insane feeling. And then this guy did this amazing epidural and it took like another 15 minutes to kick in. And then I felt incredible after it was over and I was already 8 centimeters. They checked me right after and I was like, oh my God, we were so excited. Me and Rebecca like gave each other 5. I was so excited because I was going to start pushing in like an hour. So all in all, it was like 7 hours of labor.
Wow. This is such a beautiful story. And I love hearing ones like this because obviously there's a lot of situations that can be traumatic. There can be a lot of things that happen. But for people who are listening who have never had a baby before, it's also an option for everything to just go fine.
I think it's great for people to hear, for the people listening that want something like what I had, to know that it's possible, right? Like I had that total dream. I got to labor. I got the epidural. I got the best of both worlds. And then I had to start pushing and I had this army of women come in and it was the coolest thing. I actually have one funny story with my husband. I was in early contractions, but it was still really painful. And there's some couple of people coming in and out of the room and it was just me and Rebecca and David. And David was being great, but was mostly Rebecca doing like the counter pressure. And there was like someone who came and wheeled food in or whatever, because they have to bring food in legally. And I'm just like totally in it. And I look up and my husband's just like full on eating a cheeseburger. It was straight out of a movie, just like how it was when my doctor told me to freeze my eggs when I was 28. Straight out of a movie where you look up and you're like, are you freaking kidding me? You're eating a cheeseburger.
Yeah, like I'm here breaking my body in half and you're just enjoying your cheeseburger. Like I'm so glad that you're getting your much needed nutrients.
Yeah,
like
it was, I mean, he was great, but it was just like a funny moment in my mind.
Yeah. We had the same. I was like laboring and Adam had like a red eye and a nurse noticed it. And then all of a sudden all the nurses were gone because everyone was looking for Visine for him. And I was like, is this a fucking joke? Like everyone's looking for Visine because you have a little bit of like redness.
Right.
Like I'm literally here, like about to,
about to explode.
Yes.
I did have, in the middle of a contraction, all of a sudden I said, this was like the most gnarly part, was I said to everybody, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to throw up. And before I could finish my sentence, because I knew there was a bag on my right side and David was on my right side. And I saw him out of my peripheral turn to get it. And I knew it was going to be too late. And I literally projectile all over the back. It went the back of me and the front of me.
No way.
And I saw David get up and go walk towards the other corner. And so my doctor went over to him, sort of the same thing with the red eye.
Yes.
I was like, David. I'm like literally still gagging, like choking, because I was afraid he was going to pass out. Rebecca said it was the craziest exorcist bile green that she'd ever seen. She was like, it was so gnarly.
Why does that happen? Did you ever find out?
No, I didn't. But I think it's the hormones, but also the, probably like the Pitocin and the, epidural. Cause when do people want to hear this?
Yes. We get real down and dirty in this, podcast.
It tasted like medicine. It tasted like it was the stuff that was coming out of my blood, right? Like it was in my bloodstream.
It was maybe the antibiotics from the strep B situation.
It was definitely vile. It was really, really gross. But Sherry Ross, my doctor, gets up and she's attending to him. And I was like in the middle of the contraction, right? So they're trying to clean me up and like get me focused again. And like, Katharine, don't worry about him. Stay focused. I'm like, David.
Same. Adam is like, he was a fainter from needles or blood or anything. So for both my children, when the epidural part comes, he exits and hides in the bathroom or goes and gets food and doesn't stay with me for it. But like, are sensitive, loving, germophobic, sensitive boys.
David doesn't take elevators. So I was very impressed though with his ability to kind of like, we have tons of videos. He got down and dirty. He like watched the whole thing. He did. Oh, totally.
Did you have conversations in advance where you were like, you're allowed to look at my vagina or you're not?
Yeah, of course we did. I was more just like curious, like, were you going to look? Are you going to look? And he's like, I'm not sure. So, but he did. And we've like watched the videos back. It's just like the most insane thing to watch because it's just a miracle.
And it's not you. Like Adam calls me a transformer. Adam looked and at first, you know, before we were in the labor room, I was like, just don't look, just stay up at me. Like I want you to have sex with my vagina like ever again. And he said he caught a glance of it with our first child and then looked and was everything. But he said his first glance, he was like, Katie, it wasn't even like I was looking at your vagina.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, your body literally transformed. I mean, your hips spaced out 10 centimeters. It doesn't look like anything I've seen it to look like. And I was like, okay, well, I guess that makes me feel, sexier. I don't know.
It's so true too. Like there's some men who have like a weird thing with their spouse or their partner after. I feel really bad for them because they shouldn't. It should be like a dissociation. It's not a sexual thing, right? So it's a complete a miracle.
How was pushing?
It was a lot harder than I thought. I mean, I would say that the pushing is like more awful than the pain, which is funny because it's like our bodies just naturally forget. I mean, the pain was really wild and insane. I'm not trying to, but the pushing was, even though I couldn't feel anything, I couldn't feel pressure. So it was really hard for me. It was 2 hours of pushing.
No.
Yeah, I was pretty tired and she was like really close to vacuuming. And then after vacuuming, you have to C-section, right? So, but I got lucky and it all worked out. But
did you have awareness that it was 2.5 hours?
I felt that it was long. I felt that it was starting to go long, you know, and every time I pushed, I couldn't look back, but I could see that they were watching the heartbeat. Nothing ever like got really crazy where it dropped really low or anything, but I felt that they were not super happy with the outcome of what was like the progression of the head and all that stuff. So I was a little bit worried, but I was so kind of focused and I was really just high off of the adrenaline of all these women just cheering me on, just incredible cheerleaders. So that was really, really special. Yeah.
I want to hear how you came up with the name.
Oh, yeah.
I want to hear, was it love at first sight? Was it a slow burn? Tell me all about the first minutes and first days. Okay, well, definitely a slow burn. We met each other when I was a contestant on American Idol, and he and Andrea Bocelli were the guest mentors. This was back in 2006. Yeah, season 5. So we were, you know, he produced one of my first singles that I did when I was with RCA. But, you know, the age difference is pretty wild. Oh, wait, no, not with David. I love this story, but no.
Oh, wait, what are you talking about?
Your son.
Oh, my son.
Was it a slow burn? I love this though. I'm like listening and I'm like, I know this story. And I was like, oh, duh.
Well, the age difference between me and my son is quite a, you know, a big.
I was not clear. This is my fault. Tell me about when you first met your son.
Okay. When I first met Rennie, well, let me just talk about the name first. So our favorite names were Luke, Lucas, what was the other one? I also loved Noah. And then there was, Lincoln. Beautiful. We really liked Lincoln. Cause, Lincoln's birthday, obviously President Lincoln's birthday was February 16th or something, or 17th. I can't remember. And so we were like, oh man, if he's born early on Lincoln's birthday, we'll name whatever. So that didn't happen, but we still liked the name. We thought like, hey, Link Foster, right?
So good.
Such a good name.
Right.
And so we still hadn't decided. We were just like one of those parents where we want to meet him. So I got in the epidural, finished I was already 8 centimeters and I was feeling much better. And David had been messaging people all day long because he was so excited, like his family and his friends. And so he said, I'm on an interesting text chain with my sisters. And he's got 5 sisters now. So he has 6 sisters, but one's passed away. And they were all kind of talking about the name. And David's like, well, we haven't decided yet. And she said, well, have you ever thought about Rennie Foster? That was our great-grandfather's name and our great-uncle's name. And so they named another one of their relatives. He died when he was 2, but like back in the day, like a really old name. And when he said it, like, oh yeah, my sister brought up Rennie Foster, like, hey, Ren Foster. And I turned my head. He was on my right again. And I was just like, oh my God, that's such a cool name. I'd never heard that name before. I just thought it was, when he said, hi, Ren Foster, I was like, whoa, that's really strong. The baby was born. And I wasn't even thinking about the name. I was just thinking about how cute he was, even though you look back at the pictures and you're like, you were totally cross-eyed and looked like an alien, but I thought you were cute.
Did he have a cone head?
He didn't really, a little bit, but he not too bad, actually. So surprisingly, it was not as bad as some cone heads. But he has a pretty, pretty round head anyway. They told me that when he was in utero, like, wow, he's a really round head.
Wow.
I know. So I was like, oh, that's going to change when he comes out. They're like, no, not necessarily.
So you knew the minute David Foster says his Rennie Foster and you were like, Ren, it was just, you knew in your gut.
It was like, I wanted a name that, yes, I love the name Luke, but it didn't mean anything to me. Like it wasn't, I didn't have some history with the name.
Sure.
And so when he said it, it sparked, like it did something to me internally, and it just also had meaning, right, to his family, connected to his family. So that was really what it was. And then, of course, for me, it wasn't a slow burn. I was madly in love with him right away. I was just, I kind of knew that I would feel that way, but one of my best girlfriends said, like, she didn't feel that way.
I didn't feel that way with either of mine. Yeah, no. Oh my God. I was like, what is this stranger?
Wow.
That's
that must be
my life.
Such a wild feeling in itself.
Oh yeah. Cause you're like, oh shit, I feel like I'm supposed to be feeling more than I do. And I don't know why. And I kind of felt better about it with the second kid because I was used to it on the first, where I was like, oh, I think I'm just one of those people that's like, that motherhood has just been on the whole such a slow burn for me. But, like my best friend, Amy, and you, like there are some women who literally lock eyes on the baby and it's like,
that's it. Yeah.
It's a lightning bolt. Like I'm
always careful, like around, even before I had a baby, I was always cognizant of being careful to like project how I felt about being a mom, because not everybody, like I had no baby blues this whole time. And like today I've actually had baby blues, right? Like I woke up this morning, I was much lower than I've been. I feel like my milk supply went down. So the hormones drop. And
I'm glad you know all these things, because I think there are a lot of women that don't.
My sister really, really struggled with postpartum in like a really bad way. And so I never would have been aware of it at all. Hadn't it been something that like affected our family, that was really a big struggle for her, and she's doing great. But it was really, really hard for her. And so for me and my mom, because my mom's like, you're going to be like how I was. My mom was, the second she saw her babies, me and my sister, she was madly in love, and it felt easier to her. And breastfeeding, she loved it. And it's all the same things that are true for me. But for my sister, it wasn't that way. She's such a great mom. She loves being a mom. It's just like there's a slow burn for some people.
Yeah, or like a rough start, or their hormones really affect people all differently. So you felt love at first sight. How does David feel about having a boy?
Oh my God, he loves it. He loves this kid. It's so, your parents going to love every kid you have, but it's been a long time since he's had a little baby in his house. And he is just so cute with him. And I always ask him every day, do you love him, baby? Do you love him? He goes, nah.
Oh, I can't. Okay. How's it being a stepmom? I hear your stepdaughters are like, you guys are all super tight, and they're like, how's our mom so hot? How have they taken to Rennie?
They make those jokes a lot. It's really funny. It's been really nice because we're living in this condo here in LA. We're building a house, but it's like a ways away. And down the hallway, David owns the unit next to us, and he had renters in there for a long time, and they moved out during COVID. And so it's the first time he's not had to rent it out. And his youngest daughter, Jordan, who's like a year younger than me, I think, she's got 2 kids. And a great husband. And so we were trying to sell the place next door, but in the meantime, like, come stay here with us. They live in New York City. The COVID was really bad there, and at least here they can enjoy the nice weather
outside.
So they've been here since last November. They're still here. They're going to stay through June, and then they're going to go back to New York. But it's been so nice. I love all of them, but particularly Jordan, because she's a mom of 2 young kids, and we literally have a hallway. And Otto, who is frequently on Erin's Instagram, and Jordan's, his mom's, comes running down the hallway. And Junie is only 10 months apart from my son, as well as my nephew. They're both all 10 months apart.
This is amazing!
So, and it was just great. Like, I love having them there, and it's really kind of like, feels like just a family, sisterly type thing. And it was really nice because I was having another like little mommy blues thing. Absolutely. So I was like opening boxes in this foyer, just sitting on the ground. And we'd just come back from driving in the desert, and it was just, keeping a baby happy for 2 hours in the car is just like a little stressful and
impossible.
Yes. Yeah, impossible. And she came in and, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm just tired. And then she said something to me, and I totally just started like weeping and crying. And she gave me the biggest hug and just said, Kat, I'm so sorry. Being a mom is no joke. She looked at me and said, like, even when you have this like picture perfect, I say that in quotations, like experience of being a mom, and the baby's sleeping really well and feeding really well, and you had a perfect whatever, she's like, it's still no joke.
And it's still a huge identity shift. It's still such an identity shift. And also, you're at 2 months. It's a little bit of the honeymoon phase is ending. This is what your life looks like now. And that's really exciting, but it's really real and it's changed forever.
Totally changed forever.
There's a lot to process, and there's a lot to honor. And
yeah, so I have to say Jordan wins for sure as like, such a sweet little,
she's your favorite stepdaughter.
My favorite stepdaughter. They've all really been great. And, but it was it's been nice to have someone literally like a sister next door who gets on her knees and gives you a big hug when you cry. Yeah.
How old is Rennie now?
He is 2 months and 2 days.
Oh my
He's
God.
a baby.
You're doing so well.
That's so funny.
Like, that's crazy.
I don't know, it just makes me laugh when I see a reaction.
So well. Like, that's amazing. You're doing so well. And also, I felt such a fall off around breastfeeding, to be honest. Like, I remember sobbing in the waitress dressing room because I got the call that I had to stop breastfeeding because I got a staph infection in the subways of New York City, and I had to go on so many different antibiotics, and the dermatologist.
Where did you get a staph? Was that a bad question to ask?
No, I don't care. No. I had like on my side, it traveled down a hair follicle, and it was a really weird looking pimple that they cut open and they cultured, and they were like, you have MRSA, which is like the most deadliest staph infection.
Oh my gosh.
And there was a huge breakout.
Never would have known this. You were such a professional.
No, I never called out for, like, it was awful. But I had to stop breastfeeding, and it's just like, I had a huge hormone drop off then. I sobbed like crazy. My other friend who's been on this podcast, Jen Finnegan, she got postpartum blues around like 6 months when she stopped breastfeeding. So there are a lot of hormones in play, but good Lord, like for you to be where you're at 2 months and 2 weeks or whatever is great.
What my doctor did say was that, like, if you're going to have some serious postpartum stuff, it's usually reveals itself within the first 2 weeks, but that being said, it doesn't mean that 2 months, 3 months, 4 months later, even 6 months, you're not going to feel some sort of, your hormones are constantly changing. Do you know, this girl, she goes by Mama Seuss is her company, but her name's Desiree, and she's this incredible masseuse who she works with all new moms.
I don't know this.
Oh,
lovely
she's Desiree.
woman.
She's incredible. Her hands are like unbelievable. But yesterday she came to my house, and she works on newborn babies too. She'll massage them because they're all like really tight in utero. And yesterday morning I woke up and I felt kind of bloated, and I was like, oh, that's so weird. I haven't felt that in so long. Like, menstrual cycle type stuff, like before you get your period. That was before she came. And I just thought to myself, that's interesting. I haven't had that in a long time. And then she's massaging me, and she's like, you're ovulating on your left side. And I was like, what? And she's, you're totally ovulating here. I was like, oh my God, that makes total sense that I was bloated and that my hormones are like starting to change
That's
too.
exactly right. That's exactly what that is. And also how people get pregnant while they're breastfeeding and they think that they can't, but you can. Even though you don't have your period yet, you guys, you can still ovulate and you can still fucking
You can
get
totally
pregnant.
get pregnant. I was like,
So watch out.
That would be the most insane. I said, Desiree, like, there's no way someone can have a baby and then 2 months later get pregnant. She's like, oh yeah, it happens.
That's called Irish twins. They're 9 to 10 months apart.
I can't even
It's
imagine.
It's like literally getting pregnant like the first time you're like allowed to have sex again. It's insane.
It would be.
I would no. How is breastfeeding going?
It's going great. Another mommy friend was just like, you're so lucky to have a good supply and and have him latch properly. And I was just like, I know, I'm so lucky. I've just been so lucky. He's a big baby.
How big was he when he was born?
He wasn't actually as big as they told me he was going to be. He was 7 pounds, 10 ounces.
Oh, that's big for a first baby.
It's a big baby, but I was 8 pounds. My sister's baby were 9 pounds. So I was like, those to me were big babies, right? Like 9 pounds were big. So I was like, oh, he's under 8 pounds. He wasn't that big. But that being said, he's grown really fast. So he's probably almost 14 pounds now.
Wow, Rennie. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really
that's
long.
Amazing.
He's in the 95th percentile in height.
Oh, height. Nice.
So he's gonna be a big boy, but he's hungry, and I have a really lovely baby nurse who is obviously it's her specialty to know what to do with babies. And for me, because someone who I felt like I'm maternal and kind of like naturally know what to do, some things I didn't know. One of the things I would never have done is like supplemented with formula, right? Because I would have had this thing like, I can't give my baby formula, I can't give him. So she had said to me, he's hungry, like he's going to sleep longer through the night if you top him up, which was kind of hard for me because I didn't love that idea. I think it's always hard for moms with anything when they have something in their mind, like how they want something to go.
And you never know what's going to trigger you. Like, I was super triggered by formula too. My sister-in-law, my other friend, like that's not a problem for them.
Right.
Just because you're giving formula doesn't negate that you're giving them breast milk also. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't all of a sudden cancel out breast milk or...
It doesn't. But the thing that's happened to me that I think is an interesting thing to share is...
Tell me.
Well, the first, 6 weeks, I was doing like the middle of the night feeding and then getting up 4 hours later. He's always been pretty good. He's always gone like 3 or 4 hours. So I've been tired, right? But I've like not been as tired because I have lovely help and stuff like that. But as I've started to add in supplementing, right? Like I've not been getting up for that middle of the night feed, which is funny because I'm still just as tired.
You're going to be tired for 2 years.
Yeah, I still get up at 6:30 after I've had like a whole night's sleep and I'm still tired. But I've noticed that when he wakes up at 6:30 or 7 to eat, he's not ravenous, right? So I didn't realize it till today or yesterday that I didn't realize it would affect my milk supply. And my milk supply has gone down, which is then what's changed my hormones and it's made me a lot more emotional and upset that I'm not having as much supply, but also just emotionally. You can affect your milk supply when you start doing that. So, and it's not that I wasn't pumping, but I don't think I was pumping as much. And I realized I kind of just probably need to do the middle of the night feed. And you have to weigh what's important to you. Like I'm still tired in the morning, so it doesn't really matter to me that if I might as well just get up in the middle of the night to pump or feed him, to keep my milk supply up.
It depends on what battle, like how long you can sustain that. Like I pumped the middle of the night feed with Albie till he was like 3 months old. And then I was like, I'm
exhausted
to crash
right.
the car.
Right.
Like I cannot do this. And so I stopped pumping in the middle of the night. It ended up kind of simultaneously happening where he also stopped waking up in the middle of the night.
Right.
And I would breastfeed him at 7 a.m. And then as the second he'd finish, I would pump because I would get like an additional...
Right.
Yeah, because you're so full from going all night
that
I would get like an additional bottle out after like a breastfeed session. But you'll figure it out.
He's only 2 months and I've realized like, yeah, for me, it's a little too early for me to not have that like supply that I want. So I'm trying to get my milk supply back up again. So we'll see how that goes. But
you can.
Yeah.
It'll go down and up. Breastfeeding is a full-time job.
It is.
Okay. So now you've got 3.
Right.
Breastfeeding, being a mom, and also all of your other shit.
Right.
So you'll start to know like, oh, I didn't drink enough water today.
Right.
Like, because I'll have a really low day and be like, have I drank any water?
Right.
And I'm like, oh shit.
That's why.
Like breast milk is based in water.
That's good to know because I don't think I'm drinking enough water too. Yeah.
Oh, you drink so much water. And also, I mean, for me, it sucks, but breastfeeding and dieting do not go hand in hand.
Oh, no. No.
Carry people who breastfed. Like, I have friends who are like, the minute they started doing cardio and sweating too much, gone, because also water's leaving your body. It sucks.
Yeah, I haven't done any really working out. I've done a lot of walking, but also just running around a little bit too much, which is just doing too much, visiting too many people. Like, I think the exhaustion has lowered everything. So it's definitely affected things, and it's bummed me out. So now I'm like, okay, that bums me out. So I have to I need to make important more of a
priority. You're going to make it a priority, and it's for a little bit, and then you'll adjust again. Also, you're in this sort of window where he'll start eating food at 6 months.
I know.
And I know it's a lot. It's crazy. But you'll start to feel less pressure about your supply because he's going to be getting calories from a lot of different things.
Right.
And your milk supply will go down.
Yeah.
How do you feel getting into body image stuff, like being in Hollywood, being famous, and going through? I mean, it's kind of weird that you went through all these body changes when all the spotlighting cameras were kind of on you. Although I just saw you on American Idol and you looked fucking amazing.
Thank you.
Oh my God, Adam and I just watched you on American Idol. Oh
my God, you're so cute. Good. Well, that was fun because it was just fun to get out of the house and like have hair and makeup and put on a pretty dress and all that stuff. But for me, because COVID was so crazy during that, especially November, December, when I was really the most pregnant and feeling pretty good because that last trimester I had a lot of energy. I didn't really get to wear a bunch of, I wasn't really worried about fitting into stuff, I've just realized that the extra weight that I put on through like the pregnancy isn't going to really come off until I stop breastfeeding. Like some people say the opposite, like, oh, you'll fall off of you with breastfeeding. I'm like, actually, I feel like you're like nodding your head going, no way.
I have a very small handful of women who breastfed and were thinner than they ever were before they got pregnant. And fuck those ladies.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking shit about them because I said this to their face.
Right.
Me and the rest of the world, the minute you stop breastfeeding, 3 months after, all of a sudden your body is like, I don't know what that is, but I couldn't lose the last 15 until I stopped breastfeeding.
Right. Yeah. And that's going to happen to me. Where I was before I got pregnant is about 15 pounds up from where I am. And I'm just like, okay, it's just not going to go away until I stop breastfeeding.
But you look beautiful. And also, I don't even know what you're talking about, but okay.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask, how have you been feeling in your post-pregnancy body?
It hasn't bothered me at all in my mind post-pregnancy. I've never felt like more patient and more kind to myself because I think it's really nice. Because I think I'm just in awe of what my body and our bodies as women do. And I'm also just so obsessed with something other than myself, right? I mean, like I'm in love with something other than my hair and my makeup and my clothes, my fashion clothes that I want to wear. It's just like, I don't care. I want to, I want to like look nice, but if I don't fit into my size 26 jeans, or even my 27 jeans, it's like I will eventually, or maybe I won't. Or if I really want to, I can, so it's just not today and it's maybe not tomorrow, but I really struggled my first trimester. I don't know why it was so hard for me because I look back at the pictures of my like 15-week thing, there's like a little tiny bump and I'm like, oh my God, you were so hard on yourself. Not because of the bump, but I'm gaining weight everywhere else. And I'm going to be one of those pregnant women that faces get huge and their arms get heavy. And I gained 15 pounds of actual fat. It's like not a big deal.
The first trimester is really hard, I think, in that way because you feel like shit. And you're eating like shit.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
To feel better, you know what I mean? Because you're so nauseous and so you're just living on bread and cheese, or that's what I do.
Literally, that's what I do.
And so you just feel gross. You don't feel yourself. You feel flu-like, you feel nauseous.
The first trimester started to feel better. Second trimester, I didn't feel as well as I wanted to, as quickly as I wanted to. And I went back to work, which was really interesting.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So it's Netflix, right?
Yeah, I'm on this show called, I say was, but I am on a show until I hear further notice.
Yay, called Country Comfort. And you were pregnant while you shot. How did that feel?
It was interesting because the first 4 episodes was right before the pandemic. So I wasn't pregnant. I was like very lean, very thin. And then I felt like most people during the pandemic, even though I had an excuse, I was pregnant, like came back and had gained like 15 pounds. Sure. So I was a little bit like worried. But then at the same time, I wasn't, but the costume designer was incredible and it was kind of fun to hide it. And the funny thing is like, I was just saw a girlfriend who is 15 weeks pregnant last night and she just popped, right? And I'm like, oh, that's so cute. You think you popped, right? Like, because I was the same way. Like I thought that I had popped and I was like really showing and stuff. And if you watch the show, which I would hope you do, highly recommend.
Yes, everybody watch.
It's just such a cute show. It's really sweet. I like look back at episode 5, 6, 7. It's not until like maybe 8, 9, 10. There's only 10 episodes that you start to like, oh, yeah, I could see that. But my mind thought that I was so much bigger than I was.
Totally.
But yeah.
Did you choose to get pregnant once the pandemic hit?
I think a lot of people probably did because I know so many people who, because I was just like, you're always trying to find this women have the struggle of if they want to have a career of when's the perfect time. And there really is no perfect time. But I was able to take a break from the show, get pregnant, and then finish out the show and not have it like completely upend everything, like make it really difficult for everyone to shoot. So I was really happy that it worked out the way it did. And then, I got to be in my little COVID bubble and just be pregnant. And Rebecca's yoga class, I met some great girls. It was really important because I felt like I was in this little vacuum and I felt like I didn't get to share my pregnancy with my friends and go to lunch and wear cute outfits and things like that. I mean, I know it sounds in the scheme of what people are really struggling with during COVID seems sort of stupid, but that was my, that was my reality.
Also, like if you're only going to do it a handful of times in your life, like I don't know how many kids you're going to have, but like
I would love to have more, but I don't know if that's going to work. But it will.
I think you're going to get I feel it.
I got to wait till this kid starts like crawling and walking and see how zen I am, because this is the stage that I think is easy because they sleep, they
blobs.
Eat, they poop, they're blobs and they're just so cute. And to me, it's more work as they get older. So we'll see.
Yes. Well, it's just different. It's different kind of work. So, Kat, before I let you go, any words of wisdom or advice for a pregnant woman right now listening or, women with newborns?
Yeah. Okay. And I learned this from my lovely baby nurse. So everyone is fearful of that first poop. Okay. Especially after vaginal birth, right? But not like women who have C-section, it's a little different situation. But my advice is to make this thing called prune tea. You take a bunch of prunes that are in, the ones you come in a package. You put them in a pot of water. You boil them down for like an hour or two. You almost like making cranberry sauce. This is really important.
My mouth is on the job. I've never heard this, and this is brilliant.
It's brilliant. And it's so delicious. The tea gets to be a dark brown color, kind of like poop. And you put up like 3 or 4 prunes at the bottom of your tea, and you make sure it's warm when you drink it. The tea should get really sweet. The prunes will be just like this mushy stuff at the bottom. It's like the treat at the bottom of your tea. Drink it morning and night. And I'm telling you, you'll have the smoothest poop you've ever had.
Oh, which is the biggest miracle, because when you've pushed, as long as you pushed, and then you're expected to like push your first poop out, you are so scared that you are going to do damage.
Yeah, of course. It's very like my sister's like, I fully remember screaming. It was so painful. And I just didn't have that experience. And I'm really grateful.
Prune tea. Genius.
Prune tea, and take your, because they give you a
Colace?
Yeah, at the hospital. And I recommend just taking it and then prune tea morning and night. And you can do that for several weeks, because, it takes a while for your system to kind of get reacclimated. So anyway, that's my little bit of advice. It's not as worldly. But
it's so practical, which is what we need.
Yes.
Kat, thank you so much for coming on Katie's Crib. Thank you for all of your stories and experiences. I feel like as women together and moms, it's just always so helpful just getting on here and telling honest, true stories. And we're all in this together. And I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
And Rennie, I can't wait to meet him.
I want your viewers to know, I wish I could play the video, that you and Adam and the whole family sent me and David the cutest, because I sent Adam a video of the new baby.
Yes, Marco Polo, I saw it.
You really are as lovely and shiny and bright as you are off of this podcast and off camera, because you and Adam are just... You guys sent me the coolest fun. You made me feel so good.
Thank you. Your kid is lucky as hell to have you as a mom. That's how I feel. And also, Mommy and Me class on Friday is going to be going off.
I know. It's going to be so exciting.
It's going to be going off.